All right, guys, welcome to another edition of Chat with Charlie.
And my co-host is Dr. P.
What's going on, Charlie?
Nothing much, guys. What's up?
Breathe, Charlie.
I agree 100%.
Let me just be clear here. He does not agree with everything I say.
Not everything.
Hey, Charlie, it's time for your one-on-one.
I do it for fun. Fun?
No lollygag.
We are in the people business.
Have to have the right person.
The game is not over.
Because I want to beat everybody. I just want to be me. Chat with Charlie and Paulette.
Yay!
It's going to be a good 2-3. I'm going to enjoy it. We have to cut this out, Mark.
No.
All right, guys, here's another episode of Chat with Charlie with my beautiful co-host, Dr. Paulette
Hello.
Thomas Collins.
Hello, everyone.
And today's a special one because we have PMP here.
PMP, hold it down.
We have Paula Massey here. Paula Massey is a campus director at our Tidewater Tech campus. And I believe you're campus of the decade. Is that right?
That's what I hear.
That's what you hear.
Mm-hmm. I have
Okay.
a trophy for it.
You have a trophy for it? So it's not only here, but you see it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It's the street
Okay.
said.
I like that. So we want to talk to Paul about what you do, why you do it, and why you guys are so successful. But first, how did you get involved in education?
So, was it 16 years ago? I responded to an ad at our Richmond campus and wanted to teach. I was a med tech.
Really?
So I wanted to teach, and I wasn't qualified to do medical assisting. So I had, long story, I had gotten hired, and then they came to me about 2 weeks later and told me I wasn't qualified, so I didn't have a job.
So let me understand this right.
She fell into
You
admissions.
weren't credentially qualified to teach medical assisting.
Nope.
They hired you for med tech teaching?
For a medical assistant.
Medical assisting.
Mhm.
Oh, and then you found out.
Then I found out.
2 weeks later, and they said sorry, but not
Yeah.
sorry.
So pretty much, I sat in the lobby for a couple of days. I came back.
Like with a tent, or did you like?
Because I wanted to find a job for me. I wanted something.
And this was 16 years ago.
Yeah. And so
Wow.
I was qualified to do admissions. I had management experience, staffing. And so I talked to the school director, and she hired me as a DOA.
Out the blocks.
Yes.
Wow.
I did not know that. So you were a director of admissions, which is the leader of the sales team, right? How many salespeople did you have at the time?
I think I had 5 back then, and we turned the school around.
Really?
Zoe Thompson was our regional, and Zoe is the one.
I don't think I knew Zoe was a regional.
Yeah, and she was the one actually that probably taught me the most. She came in a couple of times and sat down with me and just gave me some tricks. And
But you were natural at it?
I mean, it was pretty simple. I mean, you know what you need to do.
Yeah.
You're changing lives, and you have something you believe in. So,
But was it
Not that-
natural for you to motivate individuals to do more than they thought they could do?
Mhm.
That type of thing?
yeah,
Okay.
you got to give them the why. And if you
Okay.
believe in the why, I think it just happens.
That's crazy. So then after you were director of admissions, then
Then I became a regional director of admissions.
you're a regional too. Is everybody a regional here at one point or another?
Not everybody.
Over 15 years, yeah.
Oh, 15, yeah. Yeah. So you did the regional thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then how long did you do that for?
I think a couple of years, maybe.
Okay.
And then I became a director. Bob McNeely was our vice president
Right.
at that time. And then he had a position that it was a director of compliance, internal compliance auditor is what he
Okay.
called it.
Did you work at the home office at
Mhm.
that time?
Mm-hmm. So I traveled around. It was only maybe about a year that I did that. I traveled around to all the campuses, and he basically wanted to know, what does the parking lot look like? What do the bathrooms look like? What's the reception when you come
Yeah.
in? I didn't have a lot of friends then.
Because it didn't look good.
No, because it was kind of like,
Nitpicky.
But you had to be, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
the face
well,
of
it
the
was,
school
yeah,
or
it was,
whatever.
what was bad was that as a regional, I was friends with the school directors. I mean, that as soon as you go into the school, and Zoe taught me this, the minute you walk into the school, you see the school director. That's their house. So you make sure that they know you're there, what your plan is, what
Yeah.
you're going to do. You're partners with them. So, when we would have the directors meetings or whatever, I always had somebody to eat with at dinner, and and all that. Well, all of a sudden, I'm the internal compliance auditor,
Oh, you're
and I'm basically the snitch. So nobody wanted to talk to me anymore.
so just eating in the corner by yourself, like. Just,
yeah.
so, did the DOA regional role prepare you for the compliance role?
I think
or was that
so.
just a different role?
It was just a different role. I was ready to grow.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do something different. And so I did that. And then, after that was when I went into the school director role.
And were you at Tidewater Tech originally?
No.
Okay.
I started back in Richmond, went
Okay.
back home because I was living in Richmond.
Got it.
So we had a West End campus of Richmond, went there. And then from there, I went to Newport News. And then from there, I went to Virginia Beach. And from there, I went to Tidewater Tech.
So, Paula, when you came in as a regional director, where was Paula located at originally?
Virginia Beach.
Virginia Beach.
However, I got to know Paula as a CED because at a CED meeting, they paired us. And she was my pair.
You were only friend?
Yeah.
I
didn't know it, though. I didn't know it at the time. I just got to the company, and she was my pair.
Okay.
And in terms of being new to the organization,
Yeah.
and she's seasoned, and our relationship blossomed from there. And then once I became an RDMA, then CVAB was FYI was never on our radar when she had it. CVAB wasn't on our radar in admissions. She came from admissions, so I think that prepared her for it. But our relationship blossomed from there.
Yeah. You guys have similar attributes, I'd say, though, too. So you probably...
That's why they call us PMP.
PMP. Not TNT, but PMP.
PMP. Same thing.
Same thing.
You said something, though. It made me think.
What?
Charlie and I always talk about how if you've done admissions, you can do anything at a campus.
Absolutely.
If someone's doing well, bet they came from admissions. And people think, sometimes I think that they think it's more of an arrogance, but it's not.
Because they didn't come from admissions.
Yeah.
No, it's actually humility.
And when you said that, your track and your path, it's like, I'm asking you, because I don't, if you disagree, that's fine. But how do you feel knowing that you came from admissions and you can go and work in any area of the campus?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that a true statement? Is it a fair statement? Is it an over-exaggeration?
I think admissions folks can figure anything out because you're plotting a path for your student. Mm-hmm. You want to change their lives and along with them. And so you're going to do what it takes. So when you are within the school, whether it's operations or whatever part you're in, you're going to figure it out. So if my financial aid officer is out and I don't have anyone else, I'm going to figure it out.
You're the financial officer.
Now I might mess it up, but I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to make it work.
Is that how you've been, to your point, like the nature nurture thing, were you grown to be like that? Or is that just innately in you to be that type of personality?
I think innately in me. I think you have different personalities. I think maybe a survivor instinct. A lot of admissions people that you come across, I don't know if you'll agree with this or not, they've been through some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
True.
Most of them you talk to, there's a past.
And that's why they can relate too.
Mm-hmm.
And right. They relate and they're going to figure it out. I mean, you don't need to tell them a whole lot.
Yeah. Well, we used to always tell people when we train, not only DOAs, but reps, we used to say, you're on a desert island. You either figure out how to eat or you're going to die. And that's an analogy of admissions. You got to figure it out. And I used to tell people, I'm still waiting to be trained. Mm-hmm. Like I've never really been trained. I've had to figure it out, which I feel makes you a more powerful leader. And you have that non-quit attitude or that survival kind of attitude. Mm-hmm. So back to teaching. So you never looked back on teaching though?
No.
Never looked back?
Never looked back.
Okay. So the fit was there. Mm-hmm. So if you take your director of admissions role, the regional role, the compliance role where you had no friends, and the campus director role, what was your favorite? And I know you're doing the CED role now, but was there one that just was more of a favorite just because, or they all were just different, so they were good?
I think the regional role and then this role that I'm in now, the CED role at Tidewater Tech, has if I could take the two of those together, they're my favorites. I loved the Centuras. I think that's really where I got my teeth into everything. But Tidewater Tech has been everything. I think I've had several conversations. I think because I had two boys, I can relate more to the male demographic.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have them come through, and they're going through so many different things that we just don't even realize.
Right.
And those that don't know, your programs are all trade driven.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And what would be the gender breakout, like male versus female? What percentage about are female?
We're probably 80-20.
That's still pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, as
Our
far as
female-
national average, that's really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Has that grown over time?
Mm-hmm.
What do you attribute that growth to on the female enrollment side?
I think word of mouth. I think referrals are out there. The word is getting out that women are in demand.
Yeah.
The industry is asking for it. They need it.
Because in a lot of fields, I know in welding, it seems to me that females are more meticulous.
Absolutely.
With welding, we're a male. I mean, we're sloppy, right? It works, but it may not look good. And I know in welding, right? I mean,
Well,
I'm not
what
speaking for
that's what
myself. I'm
employers say.
unsloppy, but okay, I got it then. So the CD and regional role, and then your campus. I mean, you've got by our whole system, 20 campuses. I would say your student body count is up there and always the top third, right? Mm-hmm. How do you manage all that? I mean, that's a lot to manage. And I think your personality, you got your finger in everything to make sure it runs the Paula way, right? Is that hard? Is it tough? And how do you do that?
I have a team.
No, good answer. Yeah.
I have a team. I don't do it. It's my team. Totally my team.
Is it hard to find that right team chemistry? Did it take you a while to finally get that kind of nucleus?
Mm-hmm. And as soon as you have it, something happens.
And you just know it's like you can feel it, the gut, the air, everything like that.
Yeah. And then something will kind of get off kilter and like Kevin Shepard, my ace.
Yeah.
So then he moved to Chicago, and so then it's kind of like getting back into the groove of things and trying to find that even keel again, I guess.
Yeah.
Getting into the groove, I guess.
So where do you see yourself in like 5 years?
That's a good question.
Well, thank you.
I don't know. I really don't know.
2 years? 1 year?
Next year, what do you want to be?
I mean, we're getting ready to spread out. We're moving the 2 programs to the other campus.
Which is a first for us.
Yeah. I'm really excited.
Explain that so people that don't understand what we're doing.
So we're moving our HVAC and our building construction trades program over to our Little Creek campus, the AIM campus.
Mm-hmm.
So that opens up space in our main campus, which we can now say is main campus, for our ship fitter program. And then we're going to add programs over at the Little Creek campus.
So exciting.
I know.
And that doesn't mean they're AIM Norfolk. This is a complete line in the campus where Tidewater Tech would be on one side and AIM Norfolk would be on the other side.
So it'll be a branch campus of Tidewater Tech.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. So we really, I think that we have branch campuses of our aviation campuses, but they're states away, or this is the first time I think that we've ever done a literal branch campus within the area.
Yeah. Because those are accreditation reasons mainly, but this is a real deal from a branding perspective and everything. So
it's exciting.
It is. It's going to be really cool. I am looking forward to that. So what would you tell our main listeners, our director of admissions? What advice do you have from a campus director perspective? You've had a few DOAs that have worked right with you. What do you find the attributes of a DOA, not only that does well with a department and building that campus size, but also works well with a CED and something that you found that, hey, if they're doing this, I know I can look at something else or anything like that?
Know their team.
Yep.
And be a partner, and just be trustworthy, have integrity.
What do you mean by partner?
Probably the integrity piece and the communication has to be there, and the trust has to be there. If you're partners, then you're constantly talking to each other. I can tell you Katrina, for example, right now, and I've had it before with other DOAs as well, but with Katrina, she knows exactly what I want. She knows how I want it. And it's not just the Paula way, but it's the Paula and Katrina way.
Right.
We both see things the same way. We have the same vision. We know we want it done ethically. It's got to be done the right way.
So did you get that day one with Katrina, or they take time to build to where you're at now, where you have that chemistry?
I mean, of course, you have to groom it together.
Yeah.
Because she didn't come from Tidewater Tech or a Centura, our family of schools.
I mean, Paula, I went over there. I say this all the time. I went over there once for a couple hours. I went home and Adrian was like, "You went there?" I was like, "No, honey, I'm going to bed. I'm tired." And I just sat through one meeting, walked around. I tried to get a bag of chips and I got my head bit off.
We were busy that day.
What's that?
Paula, you were gone. It was me, Katrina was new, and it was new student orientation.
Yes.
So we had to go through. We had to scrub before orientation, scrub after orientation. Charlie said, "Hey, I'm going to come help out." I was like, "Okay, Charlie, great." Charlie thought he was going to just wave the students.
Worst decision I ever made.
He had to be a part of scrub. We had to debrief. We had to go get the new student orientation sheets. We had to calculate. We had to go look at files. I said, "Charlie," he's like, "Oh, get a bag of chips. I'll be right back." I said, "Charlie, no, we have to go and get the rest of this start taken care of."
I don't think I fully appreciated what went on at trades before I went there. It's a lot.
And you don't, like, when we go to CED meetings or campus director meetings, we meet twice a year in person and then twice a year streaming. Until you've walked that hall, and I'm not talking walk the hall, you don't know. Right. You do not know what you're talking about when you talk about Tidewater Tech.
It's a monster.
It's a monster.
It's a monster. And
it's not only the programs are a good fit, but it's everything about the dynamics. You know, I was watching, I don't know if you guys seen The Founder, the story about how McDonald's got started. And have you seen that? You need to watch. Well, I don't read, I watch. So if you watch that movie, at the beginning of it, it talks about how they got it down from waiting 30 minutes to deliver the food down to 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. And they spent all this time to almost orchestrate everything from the time the burger to how much ketchup to all these stations. And when I think it's Tidewater Tech, it's almost like everybody's working together in that kind of pattern to get that end result. Where I think if you're a smaller campus, you can get by with bumping into each other and doing some things and you won't have it. But there, you bump into something or something like that, it can be disastrous.
And knocks the whole thing off.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. I can say this too, to Paula, you asked a question about women in trades.
Yeah.
One thing, I don't know if you remember how much you've done this, but since she started at trades years ago, she started hiring more women instructors. And even the ones that weren't maybe needing additional certifications, she ensured that they got the certifications to stay in the classroom to teach other classes.
That's really smart.
So the children coming there, I shouldn't say children, but students coming there saw other women.
You called them children.
I was thinking high school.
You sound like my grandma.
I am getting old, Charlie.
Turn that air conditioning down.
Where's my fan, Charlie?
I'm sorry. I'll fan you.
But that's the one thing. Paula's staff are, they're there to service the students. They're not cherry picking who they're going to help from the front desk all the way back to the labs, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing. The second thing is hiring the right people. She's quick to make a decision. If you're not the right person, hey, I need to move on and get somebody that is. And that's something that I appreciate about her because we don't have time. We have 5-week cycles. You
blink and it's over.
Right. Our programs aren't 2 years at trades. So you have to make sure that immediately the person's there to service the student. She doesn't dilly-dally or lollygag.
That's my favorite.
She doesn't
word.
lollygag.
No lollygagging.
No lollygagging.
She ensures it's the right person for the team, and then the ship keeps rolling.
Yeah,
you just keeps going. And so I appreciate that about her too. And in admissions, I've seen her do it. Katrina didn't come from our neck of the woods.
I mean, she had her eyes wide open. I remember when she first started. It was
Katrina.
She could have made it or not made it. I mean,
she lollygagged
less than me. I have to slow her down sometimes because she's out.
So with that said, and it's really a question for both of you, when you look at admissions in particular, but just all departments, how do you keep not monotony, that's not the wrong, burnout? how do you keep the burnout from not happening?
You want to
Have fun.
And you
Have
got to
fun.
appreciate, you got to value your people too. Because there's times where I've been to Paula's campus and she'd say, hey, what time you coming in tomorrow? And the DOA, she's like, 7:30. Because the trades, if you come in past 8 o'clock, you're late. It's just, the building's open at 6. And
I think that
it's
should be. I
packed.
think that should be everywhere. But anyways, that's another story.
Just like, what do you mean 7:30? I was like, no, I'll see you at 10. Well, no, I got to do this. I have to do this. I have to do that. No, I'll see you at 10. Go get you some breakfast. Go get your nails done. I've seen her do it. It's keeping the value of that person there because, yes, we're serving, but it's like an ATM. You can't keep withdrawing.
Yeah.
You have to invest in your people. You have to deposit something. So that creating the value from that person really helps with keeping a strong team and stopping that monotony. Just
Yeah.
feel like I'm just doing the same thing every day.
That's a good message for DOAs too, especially when they got those high performers. You don't want to burn them out.
Yep.
It's
Okay.
hard. It's because they are working really hard. I was just looking today. I did a bunch of tables for my my leaders at how many students my admissions folks are bringing in for education, and then how many are getting dropped. Because I want them to realize admissions is working hard for you. I think my team brought in 100 so far this year, 180 some welders just for welding.
Just one program alone.
Just one program. We brought in 180, I think it was 182 welders. So I need them to appreciate that and realize how hard admissions. Now, education works hard too. Administration works just as hard. But I want them to really appreciate that number. That's
It's a good visual too to see it, but I do think you do a good job. And when I was over there and extremely tired, I do remember that the program, what do we call them? Program coordinators.
Coordinators.
Program coordinators were as vested, if
Yes.
not more,
Yes.
than the admissions people were on orientation.
Yes.
I mean, they were taking
yeah.
great pride in 100% show or not. And I'm not sure if other campuses do that, but that's a lesson out of the Tidewater Tech book too, is that total transparency. And it was very cool to see without admissions in there, the program coordinators, challenging each other
Yes.
on how their orientation show was. They were making calls before orientation to make sure they were welcomed and what they needed to do. And especially because of our background, it's scary. I mean, these guys, and I do want to get to the second chance part, but I mean, a lot of these people that no one's done that for them, and that's all they needed. That little bit is all they needed. And I think the whole campus is vested into that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't want to lose that nugget either. I somewhat forgot about that this was a requirement at trades. And when you brought it to my attention, it's huge because I know it attributes to the start rate there, the attrition there. If you remember that day, Charlie, we scrubbed before new student orientation, right?
Yeah.
Then new student orientation happened. But then afterwards, we had to scrub with the program coordinators. And that was monumental because when we're done, the program coordinators go and, like you said, hey, what was your show rate? And they had their start date with their names by them for their program. And they were calculating their start.
And they knew it.
They knew. Oh, I think somebody had 100%, one person had 96, and the other person who was lowest on the totem pole was upset because they felt like they weren't going to build their program for that start. And
That's right. The automotive guy. I remember him saying that because he was disappointed, I think 2 or whatever. And he was frustrated with it
Right.
because he wanted his full 100% coming to that orientation and going through the classes.
But that enrollment team culture is there to where there's not one program coordinator that would say, I'm not coming to a scrub afterwards. That's admissions.
So is that from the top down?
It's from the top down.
And you said a requirement, which I get, but why isn't that a requirement for all campuses?
Well, every campus has their
Autonomy, yeah.
They have their own autonomy. But again, you have a successful CED and it's an enrollment team. And it's not just admissions at new student orientation. Programs coordinators have to be there. Financial aid has to be there. We screwed before.
Willingly, too, I will
Willingly.
say. It wasn't a check the box. It wasn't
No.
coercion that they were like, I got to go to this and do their job.
They were waiting on us.
They were waiting on
you.
it. Well, stop it. I was a little slow. I still want my bag of chips. I was getting a little slow getting there. But, it's a lesson for the other campuses. Understand that because you're not enrolling 20 and 25. You're rolling between 70 and over 100 every 5 weeks. So one, you have to do that. I get
Right.
that. But that doesn't mean for a 10 to 15, 20, 25 start, you shouldn't be doing
Right.
that, right? From week one almost, what's going on? How we doing? I remember Roger, who's your director of education, right? I remember him asking me one time of how to pull a start day report, how to look at that differently, and how to work with the DOA and things like that. So I do think for people that are listening to this, it's something to take back and talk about at your campus, and how can we do this as a collective enrollment team and not just a silo. Well, that's your responsibility. This is my responsibility, that type of thing.
And to take that a little bit further, they're all there on start day. My coordinators are all back there greeting the students, and then they're looking at the sign-in sheets to see what their show rate is. They want to know how
You're
many.
kidding me. I didn't know that part.
They're all back there on start day.
So did you, like, the first week you're there, did you have a meeting and say, you will do this? Or did it just kind of evolve?
It's just evolved over time.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, my first week there was.
Well, okay, your first month or 2 months or 3 months. I'm sorry.
She had set me up the first week there. So
I believe
But I
that.
stuck with it.
Yeah, it's still there.
Apocalypse.
So if there's a, it can be more than one, but if there's one piece of advice for directors of admissions, and especially, you know, in your role as a campus executive director, good grief, as a campus executive director, that you could give them on how to have a better relationship. And I need trust and that kind of thing, but take it a little bit further if those are the same things. What can they do to even build that relationship more? Maybe even with program coordinators or with their director of education or whatever.
Just make sure they're involved. Be involved. Take the initiative. I like to see my DOA involved in education.
Yeah.
When we have events going on within the school, I love to see a DOA out there involved in that activity or that event. I know old school, and I don't see this a whole lot anymore. I've had to get after admissions a couple of times for this, referrals. In between class, when they go on break, have your admissions reps go back there and ask your students, hey, do you know anybody that wants to come to school? We used to do that. Doing things like that helps the CED to grow the school.
Absolutely.
So,
and save money.
Right. So to me, that's a partnership. Taking that initiative shows your CED that you're invested in the school and you're invested in growth. So
why do you think you lost that a little bit?
I don't know. It seems like over time, our admissions reps started, we started giving more to the reps. And so they started doing less.
Oh, I can change that.
I don't think you need to do that.
No, I'm just joking. I'm just
wasn't saying
joking. No, I get it.
But we did. Our leads, I think we started giving them so much more. Remember, we used to do PDLs, and it was a requirement. They had to do a certain number of PDLs a week.
I mean, back in the day, we used to say an application, you need 2 PDLs with it. So if you wrote 5, you personally need 10 referrals.
Right.
You know, to go along with it. And we've gotten softer over the years, and we didn't want to demand it. But I'll tell you, a happy student is a referring student.
Right.
And if you do it right and not just kind of sterile, you'll get referrals naturally.
Absolutely.
Right? You'll get them naturally. And I would say you walk around your halls and there's happy students
Right.
walking all those halls.
That's true.
And that's a fact. Okay, we're running out a little bit of time. I got one more question. Do you have any others?
I do have just one.
Good.
Just one question, and it went back to the enrollment team culture. Because that's really, if you're at trades, it's everybody's a part of it. So, and I know it's evolved, but is the one for a CED or for a DOA who is still working through dynamics and working through communication, what would you advise them to do to ensure that interdepartmental communication is still happening? What is the best way for them to navigate as that enrollment team is forming?
You mean between the CED and the DOA?
Yeah.
I would say, I think I know what you're asking me. Making sure that they're meeting daily. I'm not a big fan of the formal meeting, like, hey, we're going to meet every single day at 2:00. I don't like that. I'm very fortunate with Katrina that we just talk all day long. But if you don't have that relationship with your CED where you feel casual enough to informally go in there and talk, maybe select a time during the day where you guys know that you're going to meet so that it's forced. but you have to have that every day. You have to talk.
I think there's something to be said if it's not natural.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a bigger problem.
Mhm.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think good news and bad news. If you can't just walk in there, or if a DOA feels like, well, if I ask a CD this question, they're going to think I don't know my job. Like, you got to have confidence and equal respect for each other. Because I would say I subscribe to that too. I don't like formal, like 2:00 and this is the agenda and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I like that natural, in the moment, like you make quick decisions you were talking about. Let's just talk. Like, we're here to do a job. Let's just get it done.
Right.
It's not good or bad. Let's just figure it out
Right.
type thing. So I do like that quite a bit. And I think it can be tough for some directors of admissions, I guess, but I don't think it can be, not accomplished over time with that relationship. And there is a difference. I'd say this too, with Paula. I would imagine, I don't know this, but I would imagine you do a good job of balancing, I'm friendly, but not your friend.
Right. She
Sometimes.
does a great job at that.
Well, I thought so too,
She
but
does
she
an
made me
excellent
feel
job
like
at
that
that.
was a dumb thing to say.
That's not a dumb thing to say.
But you get the, you know what I
So-
mean though?
Yeah. So I feel like yes, but I don't have a lot of patience. I don't.
But that's you, and they get that after a while. They understand
Yeah.
that, I would say.
I don't have patience for silliness, and I don't do. You have to be authentic with me. You have to be.
You said that in my interview. My first interview, I remember it. You
Did.
used the word authentic. Yeah,
I
I
did.
remember it like it was yesterday.
It's something with me that there's a trigger or something. If I sense that you're not authentic, I just can't deal with. I just shut you out. I can't.
But I'll say this, and Paul, please, when I say friendly versus friend, I think there's two things. One, a CED can be like, I'm the campus director,
No.
and make the DOA feel here, and then they
Right.
have that complex or something like that. But then they can be too friends with them, not friendly, but friends with them,
Yeah.
and then they can't have tough conversations.
Right.
So there's a very fine balance to that, and I would say all three of us have that same attribute. You know what I mean?
I agree.
We can cut up, but at the same time, you can pull me to the carpet,
Mhm.
and we can get, we can have at it. But we have a very high mutual respect.
Right.
That means nothing.
Right.
That's just passion and getting to it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that you just made me think of something. Here's a very good piece of advice. Keep your lines. Keep your boundaries.
I was thinking expectations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, your expectations
Yeah.
and your boundaries. I have seen so many CEDs and DOAs, and I don't say anything, but I've seen them become friends,
Yeah.
and those lines get crossed. And you're right; they can't have those
And you-
conversations, and it's a disaster.
You can't
Right.
come back.
Mm-mm.
You
It
can't.
is I guess you could, but it's very hard to come back.
Right.
I
And then
don't-
it usually blows up.
Mm-hmm.
Usually it's a time bomb.
Right?
Right?
Yeah.
Not PNP, but that's the TNT.
TNT.
All right, good stuff. Now I got a question.
Okay.
Not a question about work.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Like, what do you do for fun? Is the first. I got one question, but that's
Shop.
1A.
That's true.
Shop. Okay.
I know
Okay.
that it's
Like shoes, clothing, cars,
purses.
purses. Great. Another purse person.
She does.
Do you know my bank account has shrunk since my wife has met Paulette?
I can believe that.
And
Oh,
makes me
God.
feel like less of a husband. Well, Dwayne does this for Paulette. He doesn't
I can believe
mind.
that too.
Like, gosh damn. Why don't you buy her hand-me-downs then? We can do that. You can get
She has
Lisa.
purses in the attic, just so you know.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
Charles.
And then
Mess.
and then what is one thing that we would not know about you that you would want to share?
I've been knowing her a long time, so I'm trying to figure that one out too.
Uh-huh. That's just us.
Let's see. So what do I do for fun?
You shop purses.
Yeah, I
see.
shop. Yeah, a lot.
You like going out? Are you an outside person?
I'm an inside
person?
person.
You're an
yeah,
inside
when
person.
I go home, typically I'm home.
Would you find yourself in a tent ever?
No.
Hotel
We can
only.
glamp. We can glamp.
What does that mean?
Glamping is like the
Like I know.
glamorous way of camping.
There's plumbing. There's air conditioning.
Yes.
There's a bed.
Yeah.
There's anti-bugs.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Anti-bugs, yes. No bugs, snakes, none of that stuff.
No.
Yes. Okay.
So you're not going to go and camp out for a weekend.
no,
and
sir.
You're a hotel.
Absolutely not.
Maybe
Maybe in my younger days,
Hiking?
absolutely not.
I wouldn't either.
You like the beach? like the beach. Okay, because we're neighbors pretty much. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, we're neighbors. Okay, we're good there. What is the one thing, I'm going back to this, that we would not, clues her, would not know
I
about
think
you?
There's
There's got to be something.
I'm thinking. I've been with the company almost 10 years.
I'll loosen you up. What kind of music you listen to?
I know that too. She loves Kevin Gates. Let me just say that.
Seriously? Really?
You wouldn't know that.
I would not. I would, but you would know that. So it's got to be both of us. Okay.
I think you know this though. I used to help repo cars.
Yep.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
There was a movie I used to love about Repo Man or something like that, or a show. I used to love that.
They have those shows out now.
Do they?
Yes.
Be sneaking up in the dark.
I loved
People
it.
yelling at
Seriously?
them.
I
Yeah.
loved it. Yeah.
Did you do bond work too, or just the repo part?
No, just the repo part.
Interesting. But she knew that. So that
I
was
would go
good.
sit on the cars. I would do all the research, make sure it was the right VIN number, and I'd sit on it and wait for them to come get it.
Seriously. You sit on the car, like literally sit on it?
Not like on the hood.
Well, I didn't know. I didn't know if you're like sitting Indian style, like, nope, this is my car now.
No. I just sit there by the car watching it, so that if they came out and went
So
anywhere,
you
I'd
know
have
when
to
you
follow
could
them.
get him in the tow truck, whips in and grabs. Okay, but that doesn't qualify. So what's the one thing?
How does that not qualify?
Because she knew
You
it.
didn't know it.
She knew it though. I
You
said
didn't
we.
know it?
I knew that.
There was a key word, we. What's your favorite place if you could pick any vacation anywhere in the world? Where would it be?
I'm really boring. I don't know.
Good.
Jamaica.
Okay,
I'd like to go to Jamaica.
that's good.
Mhm.
That's good. And a hotel, of course.
In a hotel, yes.
Would you go on a cruise or would you fly?
Fly. I could waste all that time.
I love it. All right. Anything else for our listeners? Anything?
I don't think so.
Well, good job. Well, guys, we got the School of the Decade. Miss Paulette, Miss Paula, Campus Director, Tidewater Tech. There were some good nuggets in here, so I invite you to please talk to your campus directors and just talk it through. And I'm sure Paula doesn't mind. Ever in town, come by the school, check it out. You guys got an exciting graduation coming up. We're doing a combo
Yes.
graduation. That's going to be pretty cool.
I'm very excited about
Yeah,
that.
that's gonna
June
be
9th,
good.
2 to 5.
Anything from you in closing?
Nope. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, episode 13, guys. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.